How did it feel to be Macbeth?
I never knew that I would love a skirt so much. But don't tell anybody.
Hey, you know what? It'll be our secret right here.
That's our secret.
Just the millions watching this right now, Denzel. You know, it'll be our little secret. All right, hold on. I practiced this. I was practicing this because I knew we were going to talk again. Nice to see thou. That's the review that I wanted to get from Denzel Washington. Good to see you again, man. Dude, I know. Hey, but you know what?
And here's my review. Macbeth, maybe.
I'm not
going to get parenthesis, not.
Don't worry, I won't get the call back. Hey, man. Great to see you again, man.
Now, is that a baseball cap turned backwards you got on? What is that you got on?
Yeah, you've seen it before.
I couldn't see the bill. I couldn't see the back of it. It looked like a skull cap.
You've seen it before, man. We've been in the same room together many times. You've seen it. All right. So let's start there, though, with the dialogue, because honestly, as I'm watching this film, I am thinking, why don't we talk like that anymore? I mean, it's kind of cool. So what is that a challenge to speak like that, the Shakespearean angle? I know you've done the stage stuff, and I know you've done this before, but is it a challenge to do that?
You know what's an interesting challenge is not to fall into the cliche. Oh, my Lord and my Lord. You can easily fall into, even when we were shooting and in rehearsing, they kept saying, I forgot who, Joel or Fran, or no stick up the butt Shakespearean acting, no sort of old proper and all of that. He wanted a more naturalistic approach.
Corey Hawkins was talking about the fact that he was terrified that he was going to hurt you in some of the fight scenes. I want to, yeah, man. And again, something
he didn't bother to tell me that.
What's that?
He didn't bother to tell me that.
Okay, but it's pretty intense. So without giving anything away, how do you get ready to film those?
That's fun. I've done a lot of fight scenes on the movies over the years, and sword fights and every knife fights and every other kind of fight. So that's the fun part of Shakespeare. There's always got to be one swashbuckling battle scene,
I got a message for you from Denzel Washington. I've read where you said that you were nervous and you were afraid that you were going to injure him in a fight scene. We're no spoilers in this interview. And so what Denzel just told me was, he goes, well, tell Corey that I wish he would have told me that. So, dude, he goes, how Denzel does the face and he kind of turns like this. And he goes, I wish he would have told me that. Hey, but I want to expand on that, because the intensity, by the way, great job in this movie, man. This film is just outstanding. But were you just, I mean, I would be,
yeah, I'm clumsy, man. I'm like the bumbling idiot in the family, man. I literally I would trip over my own 2 feet. And so I was just nervous. And it was our first, we hadn't done it together until that day. So, all I could think about was, Lord, if this sword goes flying the wrong way, it's over. It's over for him and for me.
Corey Hawkins took down Denzel Washington.
It's a wrap. Well, that's a wrap.
Yeah. It's a wrap. No, you did. Again, amazing props and kudos to you. All right, so that made me think about this too. What was it like the first day you were on set and you saw this ensemble, which is outstanding, including yourself, my friend. Everybody's in costume. You're doing a William Shakespeare. We're going to talk dialogue here in a second, but what is that feeling that you have when you're doing something like this? First day on the set.
Well, first, I would actually say it sort of goes back a little ways, because the first day on set, or technically was the first day of rehearsal, because we had the rehearsal period. So that was sort of 3 weeks prior to that. And for Denzel and Fran, even longer, much longer. And so I remember the first day I was there for a costume fitting with Mary, and I went over and just to say hello. And Denzel picks, he's like, what's up? Picks up the book, and we start running through the text. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So that was cool. And just the gravity of being able to say that I'm in the company that I'm in the company of. I mean, it really did feel like we were a troupe, like a sort of acting troupe. And so we got to give each other permission to just to play. And I mean, but just imagine that I'm like sitting across and sitting beside my heroes in rehearsals and just we're just, but there was no ego, you know. It's incredible.
Well, they were saying the same thing about you, my friend. Seriously,
Oh,
I mean, you've done some pretty big things, and you and I have talked about those roles. I know you've done stage, and it probably had to help, but the dialogue, you know, is interesting. Like, you know, thou, things like that. The way that
right, Old English.
there you go. And which halfway through, I'm like, well, we need to start talking like this again. I think it'd be kind of cool to roll on down to the corner store and I'll take that. How is thou do? You know what? Well, you know what I'm saying. But was there a challenge to doing that, using that dialogue long form in a film like this?
The only challenge I think is technically being able to do it. But I think honestly, if you it's actually just more fun. You know, it's just fun to be able to speak the speech. You know, I pray you as Shakespeare. You know, like it's one of those things that I was talking to Catherine Hunter recently about just there, and she's a RSC Shakespeare vet, and I was talking to her just about the fact that there's new ways now of speaking Shakespeare, and we all have ownership of it as much as anybody else. And, you know, as Denzel says, it's like if people just give themselves the opportunity to sort of just do it, you know, put yourself in it. And Shakespeare was a poet of the streets in the same way that some of our musical artists were, you know, are. And so it sort of stands the test of time. And so I'm really just fortunate to be able to bring that to the screen for people to see, and it'll live on in a way that it hasn't in the past before. So fortunate in that.
Hello, Alex.
Hi, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm excited to talk with you about this movie. All right, I know the experience that you have with the theater, the Work Factory theater company there in London, where you actually did Macbeth. How did that help you get ready for this particular film?
Well, it meant that I got to have a really deep understanding of the language, for one thing, and the story and the plot, the themes, the characters. But a lot of the usefulness was understanding the language and what was going on and what the characters were saying, which is a big part of the task when you're doing Shakespeare.
How long does it take to actually rehearse? And because as I'm watching the movie, the first thing that I thought to myself was like, wow, these people really talk cool. But then I thought about the angle, the direction you all are, because you're doing it. How long does it take we don't talk like that anymore these days. So how long does it take to actually, ingest that and be ready for it?
Yeah, well, part of the reason it is thought that Shakespeare wrote an iambic pentameter is so that it was, which is a kind of a series of stresses, da-dum, 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 is so that you could remember it more easily, because the actors would get the script and a week later they'd be performing it with very little rehearsal. So he's written it in a sort of poetic form so that you can remember the lines more easily. So actually remembering it, I don't find that difficult, but getting it to a point of sounding like normal human speech, even though the language is slightly different, obviously, but to make it seem like it hasn't been written down and that you're inventing it while you're thinking, that's the work.
Tell me what your reaction was when you found out who you would be starring with. I mean, you've got Frances McDormand, you've got Denzel Washington, Corey Hawkins, you're in it. I mean, what an ensemble.
Yeah. I still find it slightly difficult to accept and believe, having come out the other end of it. Yes, I mean, what an amazing privilege. I think I kept one of the call sheets that had the list of names on it. It was a real pinch myself moment, and to work with Joel, I mean, is a lifelong ambition, and I hope to get to do it again.
That's right. The Coen, one of the Coen brothers. Absolutely. All right. We're going to close with this, and it's a fun one. Tell me about the costumes, the pluses and the minuses. It looked like it would be fun to dress up in this time period, but there had to have been stories like, did something pinch? Did something hurt? Did something? Oh, you're laughing. So there's got to be an answer there.
My costume was very, very snug. So there'd be times when I would wear trousers underneath because I'd hitch it up and we'd need to see the trousers, but I wouldn't be wearing trousers underneath ordinarily because of the shape of the sort of dress. But if I needed to get somewhere quickly, I would have to hitch it up because I could only take very small steps. So you would often on set see me with my dress hitched up and my underpants out, which I found quite amusing. I don't know. I hope other people did too.
I found it amusing, and I wasn't even there. You just told me that story. So I dig that. All right, we're going to close with this because I'm getting a lot of funny stories. Alex just told me about the costume that every now and then he forgot if he didn't have any pants on underneath, because of the dress. yeah. Right. I literally just finished that conversation a minute ago. So I'm going to ask you, Denzel, tell me about the costumes, man. Any funny stories? Were they did they pinch? How did it feel to be Macbeth?
I never knew that I would love a skirt so much. But don't tell anybody.
Hey, you know what? It'll be our secret right here.
That's our secret.
Just the millions watching us right now, Denzel. It'll be our little secret. Hey, man. Happy New Year to you. You look amazing. Great film. Great job, man. Love seeing you and Francis on screen. Always a pleasure talking with you, and I can't wait till next time. Okay?
God bless. Take care now.
Corey, always a pleasure. Today is no exception. You're the best, dude. I truly love our conversations.
Oh, man.
Mama says hi because I know you've met my mom.
Yes.
Yeah, she wasn't able to be. She wasn't able to be here because I had to run down the street, but she would have been if I had been down the street. But Happy New Year. Stay safe next time in person. And
yes,
again,
indeed.
Thanks for your time, man. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you. And I appreciate your, the love and support of the film and my career. So thank you, brother.